call this meeting to order at 6:38 p.m. A roll call vote. Arthur Martin.
Here.
Rick Clements.
Here.
Holly Christo. Here.
Andrew
Do we have
absent?
We have.
Andrew.
Pardon me.
Andrew absent?
Andrew.
Absent?
Andrew is absent. Yeah. And do we have our other member? Has she been approved yet?
She hasn't. No, we're still waiting for the state to give her the okay that she's been appointed.
Well, the state needs to get on with it.
They do that, maybe.
Okay. So noted. So the next item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from January 24th. Since we have not all seen the minutes, we will postpone this
I'll make a motion to
until the
postpone.
next meeting, along with the review the minutes of October and November as well. Does anyone make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
And I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay. The next item on the agenda, item 3, review proposed CDBG projects for FY24 application. Hey, would you like to take that?
Sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The town is proposing doing road work for the bulk of its fiscal year 24 application. Let me try to find a better email that shows the road work. Hold on. Rich.
I think that's a great idea.
Fiscal year 24.
Now, it can only be in certain parts of town.
Correct. So we've got to make sure we meet our guidelines, which sometimes can be tricky to be able to do. So in and around North and Mechanic Street, that block that kind of goes from Foster past 70 Foster, the Italian Club, to the police station, basically. We're going to try to do as many streets as possible in that section.
Oh, very good.
And we'll use a little bit of the money for code enforcement positions and administration, and we'll leave it at that.
What about streets like Dresser Street? Can that be done, or is that not in the area?
It's not in the area. The reason we chose this was because it is a high percentage of low and moderate income residents, so it's easy for us to meet the objectives,
Yeah.
and it's all contiguous, so that it'll be just, you know.
Yeah, I'm just
because
going to go by road quality. That's all. I know what you're saying. You got to go. We have to go by the area we can do it in.
Exactly, and we had proposed a lot of different roads in a meeting with the DPW, town manager, and us as CDBG to try to figure out which ones would be eligible, which ones make sense according to the road plan. And this seemed like it was just an easy grab for us.
Are you planning on using all of the CDBG money?
Yes, so we're getting $925,000 minus 200 and change for admin and code enforcement positions. We'll use the rest, like say, the 700 and change for road improvements. Yep, roads, drains, sidewalks.
Okay.
Good. We hear over and over again from everyone that roads are a big priority.
I know. They are, and too bad those roads aren't the worst roads.
Right.
So that's,
Yeah.
Are they gonna?
Even South Street's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, as long as they
Go off that.
fix all the infrastructure underneath first.
Yeah.
Before. Because I know Dresser Street is still working on that.
They're not going to touch the water and
Or
sewer.
a gas line, maybe. That's
They're going to do a thin.
They're working on gas right now down that area.
Yeah.
They're doing gas right now, so now it's perfect timing. So they're just going to do a skim and
Yep.
and grind and pave.
Yep. The most
Okay.
affordable to just get it looking nice, feeling nice, in good shape,
Yeah.
and then it can be left alone. Okay.
Yeah, and they got chapter 90 money they use also for roads, so this is additional to the
That's right.
regular money that the town has for roads.
That's
Because,
right.
I mean, you put that nice smooth coat,
Yeah.
the next thing you know, they're digging it up to fix.
Well, it's up to the town to put regulations on that. That's the DPW, because I know a lot of towns, you dig it up, they they like 5 years before you can do digging, or they specify the most expensive patch you have to do. They infrared, they put asphalt on, infrared heat it, so it's nice and smooth. There's a lot of things that, you know.
Well, the only
they
one
do.
that they would be using is the gas because it's a private company,
Yeah.
but the rest of it's all ours, so.
Yeah.
you know, we're gonna
Well, I
pay
mean,
for
say
it.
someone's got to do a water line connection or redo the water line or something like that. That's emergencies you can't do, you know, worry about. But
Yeah.
I will relay your comments to the DPW.
Kind of like the same idea with the West
Yeah,
Street
yeah.
project, get it all done.
and this
So,
part, the
and
thing
we did
that-
approach
yeah.
it with the West Street, Main Street, you know, we've tried to, but that ends up driving up the
Yeah.
costs tremendously, right? So, but I will mention it to him.
And if I'm right, this one they have a whole bid package already because they did bid it out, and they decided not to do that job, and they took the money, did Ellis Road. So they have all the engineering's done for North Street. I
Okay.
don't know about the side streets, but at least North Street, all the engineering's done.
And that would hopefully tie in with the future road project from the end of Central and
Yeah.
Hamilton.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. So, should I ask for,
I'll make a motion to approve the road, I don't know what we're doing.
I would
We
say, road improvements?
Road improvements for North Street, Mechanic Street in that area. We're using the 24 CBG grants.
Yes, yeah.
I guess I'm the one
Do you have a
seconding it.
second?
I guess I'll second that.
What's the motion exactly?
Motion to use all the 24 fiscal year 24 CDBG grant monies for repair and rebuilding North Street, Mechanic Street, or surrounding areas, and other monies to be, and some other monies used for admin enforcement, code enforcement.
Okay. And Arthur, you second?
I'll second that motion.
All right, I have a motion and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous by all present. Okay, agenda item number 4, making it public for art grant. Choose 5 example projects. So, has everyone had a chance to review Margaret Morrissey's suggested public art?
I have. And I actually, there's one thing I really like,
Which one? We can open it.
the kinetic,
Ipswich kinetic work is stunning. George
Yes.
Sherwood, outdoor sculpture.
yep, and I'm thinking, you know, because I've seen them in other areas and other places in parks, and they're pretty nice. One area that I think it could look cool, is very, I think it's still town property, is on the corner of Central Street, Main Street, right where the benches are in front of the bank.
Ooh,
Somewhere in
that's a
there.
great idea.
It's right there at the 4 corners, you
Yeah.
can see it.
Yeah,
As long as it's not too big, it's, you know, within scale.
yeah. As long as we can
Figure that
update the
area.
benches around it too, huh?
Yeah. That's where I'm
We're supposed to be getting Bay Path to repair those benches, but because of COVID, it kind of stalled a lot of that effort. But allegedly, we're supposed to be delivering one bench, they refurbish it, and then it comes back and we rotate out all the benches until they get done. So we'll get on top of that.
I like those though.
Okay, and so talking to the Making It Public for Art during their classroom hours this week, I explained to them that this is confusing because the call for art is supposed to be an open call and you don't know who you're getting. And yet you're asking us to choose artists we like. So what's the purpose of this? The purpose is to get concrete examples of things that you would like to see, not necessarily just this artist. And so if we give 5 examples of types of art that we would consider, then when we go for the call of artists, then maybe it will expand our reach to not just, you know, this artist, but other similar ones. And maybe we'll build into our call for art that we're looking for more of a local artist, or we're looking for more of a, you know, this or that, so we can tailor it to our wants.
So
Go ahead.
could we specify that we're looking, is it specified anywhere that we are looking for outdoor art?
We haven't specified anything yet, so this is sort of your chance to start to define what kinds of art you're thinking about. So what they're doing basically over the next 2 months is they make us go do homework about what we're learning, and they're asking us to write things about why we want public art in our town. Next, they're asking us for examples of what we want, and then it's going to end up being all the pieces to package up a call for art. by the end of the course. And then we'll learn how it fills the procurement requirements so that we don't have to feel restricted by some quotes. And so if you want indoor art, this is the time.
I feel outdoor
Okay.
art is gonna be seen more. Once it's indoors, no one really sees it.
Do you hear that, Holly?
No,
I said that, I think if you're gonna do public art, it would be more beneficial to have it outside than inside, because if it's inside, only a select few may see it, but not the whole, like, town in the sense if it's outside.
right, if it's outside, it's truly public.
Right.
Are there other examples you want to look back at? So is this one that you would all think is a good example of art or no?
I think so. That's
I do.
structure, yeah.
I like the kinetic aspect, that it's moving, that it flows, that it's always changing. And so, based on the light and the breeze and the time of day, the art is constantly evolving or changing. So it's always new.
I see one at the Botanical Gardens in Worcester or Boylston, and it kind of looked cool, so.
Yeah, I think Margaret said he had a showing there at the Tower Hill Botanical Gardens. So he may have been the one you saw.
Right, yep.
Yeah, I think it's fabulous. The only other thing I've
know
seen
what?
really that,
You know where else I could see this? Is where the clock tower was supposed to be, or the clock was supposed to be in the Central Street parking lot.
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, because obviously, we don't need a clock there.
You put something in a roundabout,
But you
or a
could-
rotary or something like that.
I mean, that's a cool idea.
You know, it's a different art,
Are they gonna, are they gonna move those?
yeah, the Rotary is a good
monuments
idea
to
too.
Yeah.
the Roundabout,
The which,
the memorials, the Rotary, are those going into the new park?
yes, well, the
They
one
are.
that, yeah.
So that means that Rotary will be there then.
The new rotary won't have anything, because it's a drive across just one.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't put it there, but I was thinking the one down
I
there.
don't know if they'll ever actually hit the middle. I mean, it's meant for them to
Yeah.
turn onto
I
it.
don't know if they will.
But yeah, you
Tractor
might risk
trailer
it a
will drive
little
right
bit.
across it.
Yeah, you might risk it. Good suggestions.
Oh, this looks familiar.
Margaret's here. Holly, she just came in.
Hi, Holly.
Hi, Margaret, how are you?
Good, thank you.
So do we want to look at some more of Margaret's examples?
Go through a couple more. You have them there. You have them right there.
Okay. This is a well-known Puerto Rican sculptor, Jose Buscaglis,
Buscaglia.
Buscaglis, who has a connection to Southbridge. It'd be nice to formally recognize the Puerto Rican influence in town by having a piece of public art. It would resonate with the community. All right, here we go. Oh, okay, so it's Buscaglia. Ooh,
That's a big piece.
that's a big piece, all right. Which one should we look at? All of them?
No, just
Go
just
through
having
them,
an
yeah.
example. I mean, it's just that he is really well known. He would resonate with the community, and the whole thing in the master plan is trying to bring the communities together and facilitate that. And so this was an email I got from Peg, and it was one evening, and I said, well, I'm going to write what I think, and that's what I did. So you have to take it in context of that I just wrote, like it was like spur of the moment. His
Sure.
work is
And
gorgeous.
thank you, Margaret, for sharing all your ideas.
Well, you're
Margaret's been the better student in the class too.
welcome. I think
Yes.
I skipped class a couple times, and she covered for us. And she's networking with other classmates on different ideas.
Yeah, I think we've seen enough. Like, it's just to get the idea that, like, he has the credentials, is what
Yeah.
I'm saying. But I mean, it's going to. These are expensive projects.
Right?
I'm not
Our-
thinking
our
these
little
are,
Yeah.
$15,000 project.
No.
Yeah, but it's just to think big, and these, if we want to recognize the community, like, and the component parts, this is the kind of thing you have to do. Like, just look at the Embrace sculpture at the Boston Common. That cost, I don't know how many million, it's huge. Like, But, you know, it's possible. We're the little town that could.
If this is a grant money, it depends on how much.
So we only get 15,000.
Yeah, so
So
I don't
we
think,
maybe not so big.
yeah.
Precious metals may not be the best route, right?
No.
Okay.
Margaret, the statue in front of the library, that where they're reaching for the stars.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
How much was that?
9,000, I don't know how much, under 10.
Wow.
Okay.
Now, that's
Good to
just
know.
the statue, but it was delivered for that and installed with the help of the DPW. Then we had to, you know, buy the granite base, and the lighting was another project, and, you know, the planting will be another project as well.
Okay.
So the base, and how much was that?
$450.
Oh, that's not bad. Leave it to you.
No.
Good
No,
job.
it was all very well priced.
Yeah.
And this was all grant money. This was not money that came out of the town.
That is
Just in
great.
case
Right,
anybody was
exactly.
wondering. Yeah, it was
Exactly.
three grants. One from the historical commission, or not the cultural council, for $1,000. There was some funding from a doctor who used to live in town and his wife. They were very generous, and the Clareberts group.
Was the
Yeah.
doctor's name David Reed?
No, it wasn't. It was
Monroe.
no. He's no.
You don't have to remember. It's okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to know like a ballpark figure. So
Under
we,
10,
you know,
but it's hollow and it's made with core 10, you know. So like,
Right.
you know, but you could do these projects, so you don't have to use stainless steel and you don't have to use bronze,
exactly.
Skip
know.
the precious metals and
yeah. But we have a stainless steel statue as well, just in case anyone didn't know, in the front of the library.
Yes.
We have two.
Okay.
Okay, on to the next one. The water feature at Franklin Realty Campus is wonderful. Movement and water, a compelling combination. Is there any way of revisiting the grant Southbridge is awarded for the water park? This is definitely a sidebar. Glass mosaics would be in keeping with the town's glass theme, but could use tile pieces as well. Covering an otherwise blah surface, concrete, at the College of Holy Cross. Denan Library facade has done this as a community project led and directed by an artist progressor, or an artist progressor. Is that how you say Denan?
Dinant.
Dinant, thank
Yeah.
you. Tile mural, mosaic installation.
That's cool.
It's even nicer to see it in person.
Oh, I bet.
And it was a really blah facade, just straight concrete, very, you know, brutalist, I think is the style. And it was really nice to cheer it up with some mosaics.
Yeah, it's very pretty.
Now that's an inexpensive project. You know.
I wonder if we can repaint all of those retaining walls people keep painting
Well,
in artistic fashion.
you had talked that you're looking for more mural projects. This
Easterly was his name.
this
Easterly?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I couldn't think of it
the
for
retaining wall
yeah,
down by
Dr.
the
Easterly,
Rotary.
Easterly.
We talked about
Oh yeah, putting art on that.
putting art
I've
on
seen
that.
mural
to try-
projects on bike path abutments before. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That is a nice way to dress it up. Okay, so do you want to make some suggestions to Margaret about what you'd like to see on, or do you want to revisit? Do you remember the very first meeting when we talked about this grant? There were suggestions that were thrown around about particular artists that you would have liked to have potentially seen for the mural project?
I don't recall that. Perhaps someone else here
Do you remember there was
recalls
like
that.
the
I don't
number,
think it was, yeah, that's
the
why it was that way.
number 2 muralist that didn't get the award? I think maybe Andrew was advocating for them.
Is he from town? From Southbridge?
Could have been.
I don't remember.
Margaret, I think he did an exhibit at the library on the metal panels, the steel panels with the,
Oh,
Oh, you
yeah.
got John
with
Cloutier's
the black
son?
stencil overlay.
Yeah.
John Cloutier's son? I don't think that's who.
Sam Cloutier. What about Jay Boucher?
I don't know.
I think it might be Jay Boucher.
Is he the one that did the mural in a local building?
I don't know. He a lot of his work is on display in the Elm Centre, and I know he was mentioned as part of the mural project.
Okay.
He's a mason by trade, but he also does a lot of his work is very fantasy kind of pieces, you know, very colourful.
Should we watch these movies?
Which movies?
You'd connected to the email?
Oh, what's it on?
I don't know what they are. Let's find out. Maybe they're just.
Oh, that's just the sculpture. I think might be the mobile. I mean, they were just incredible to see them moving. This was an exhibit at, yeah, that's it. Look at this.
That is beautiful. It's very classy and simple.
This was at Tower Hill.
I mean, it definitely helps the setting. Or, you know, or it depends on what kind of setting it's in.
Yeah, but
But
it's
the fact that it's all movement and the balance according to the breeze and the sun and the warmth and, you know, the fact that it's always changing makes it alive. I guess is what makes it fascinating and always a new piece of art, what with different light and time of day.
Thank you, Curator Christo.
Sorry,
I love
I
it.
get carried away.
I love it.
Yeah, so I think the other one is just another view of the same, because that was the one I really favoured. So I took quite a few videos of it.
Should we watch it?
And it's a Massachusetts-based sculptor. He's in Ipswich.
Download blocked. Let's see
Oh,
what goes down.
I don't have my phone with me. I'm sorry. Otherwise, we could plug in. But
No, that's okay. If it comes through, it comes through.
yeah, I don't think it's it's a similar view.
Okay.
Just in the interest of time.
Okay. All right. So then, do we want to jot down a couple of ideas for Margaret and me to use in our homework suggestions?
Yes, do you need a motion?
Yeah. I mean,
It's hard running the meeting remotely.
Yeah.
do you want to brainstorm first before I make a motion?
Okay,
So yes to the George Sherwoods.
yes,
Okay.
for me.
Yeah.
What about everybody else?
I like it.
Rick?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I like the metal.
Yeah,
Something, something.
I go with my original idea of putting it right there in the corner.
Yeah.
But
Main and Central.
Where do you want to put it again?
He wants to put
What is
it at Main and Central,
Right
where the old benches are.
Oh, in the Grove.
Is that what they call that, the group?
Well, does the Grove go all the way to Central, or he's talking about
Right
where?
in front of Savers Bank along that way.
Yeah.
Those,
And there's
those
the
chairs
memorial
there. Yeah.
to.
That's the Grove. That's what Hamer used to call
Oh,
it.
the Grove.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, technically
And
it's
he was
the
very
smallest.
mindful of those trees, actually.
It's the smallest park in Southbridge.
Pocket Park.
And that's one of the locations.
So what, to put something up like that, would we have to take down the trees in the grove?
Well, and now we're talking congestion because the local historic district had talked about potentially putting a sign up there for the downtown walking tour. Now you're getting crowded.
Well, I was hoping perhaps, did we talk about having a piece of artwork, near the depot and the rail trail as they come through and go by the depot?
So you did, and I got some quotes for prices, and it's expensive. It's about $1,500 per sign if we want to properly mount them so that the metal isn't exposed, because they're thin metal edged. You can see them over there. They're thin metal edged panels. And so you'd want to encase them so that no kid runs into the corner of the metal. And so to get,
So put those in the new Memorial Park.
In the new Memorial Park? I don't-
Memorial Park.
Oh.
You know,
Oh.
MORIL, we're taking down the building.
Is that the name?
Wait,
I don't know what's
Can I help
We
you,
could,
ma'am?
I mean, what I was also
Oh,
going to,
I mean,
I
get
mean,
that.
so this is sort of a sidebar, but what if we put 2 of them at the Rotary Club's park on the 600 block? And we use block grant money for it.
I'm worried about
We
it
have
getting
extra.
spray painted and graffiti.
So
Yeah.
I've looked
Park
into,
got burnt.
I've
Yes.
looked into films that you can put on them that would cost us like $1,000. But it's like, just like when you get your new phone, right? It's got that film protection. So you put that film on it and then you can wash the film with those, whatever graffiti removers. So that you get the graffiti, I mean, it's still work to get the graffiti off, but at least it won't ruin the paint. So Katie said the same thing. She said, it's gonna get graffitied if we put it in that playground.
We can't live by bad people.
Right, and we can try to do things like, you know, there's these new anti-graffiti tools. So that, it is a sidebar, but I will bring that to a vote in the future for you guys. Unless, is it on the agenda for a little later?
How were you, I didn't quite follow because I was wanting to see what the
review
thing looked
costs,
like.
yeah.
How would you do
Right,
the
that's, and I
edge?
think, yeah, we're gonna be covering that in, item 5 on the agenda, Peg, you're right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
As a gateway to the town, the Rotary, depending on, like you said, if the monuments are being moved and there's going to be some changement in the Rotary, that might be a consideration for.
So the conversation was, the way the Rotary is being built, they're creating,
Which road are you talking
Yeah,
about?
I'm talking about
the ones there now.
No, I'm talking about the main, yeah, the
The
big
AO?
Rotary down by the.
Yeah,
Oh, the AO Rotary.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that's-
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
that's-
that's
Not the
what-
peanut.
That's what I was talking about.
Not the
yeah.
peanut.
I don't
Not
think
the
that,
peanut.
I don't
Not
think
the
that
peanut.
monument is being moved.
Which one?
The Gold Star Mother.
Okay.
And there is a flagpole there in the center, right?
Yeah. And problem is you can't. I think also site path lines. You don't want to put a big in the middle. People can't see across.
Across the
Right.
Might be
Rotary.
something
There'd be a
for that.
traffic concern.
All right, well,
That's
It's a good
yeah,
suggestion.
That's what I thought. I was thinking down there too, but I forgot about all the stuff that's in the middle.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
Or you
What
can-
about on
or-
the town common?
You've got the glasses, you could do something else to complement them?
What about that area that's in that Rotary area, but it's, you know, where the police park, for example. There's a big wall, it's just a concrete wall. It's adjacent to
Oh, yeah, so that's.
Chestnut Street or whatever street that is. Overland, what street is that?
Morris Street.
Morris Street, yeah. It's like if you were going up Morris Street, it'd be on your right. There's a park there, like not a car park,
Yeah.
parking
car
lot.
park, yeah.
And there's a big wall there. You could
that's-
put one of those up on the wall.
So that's what Kevin was.
The 19, the wall actually has 1905 on it. That was actually an abutment to the Grand Trunk that was never put in.
Yeah.
At first, when we were talking about the walking trail, I says, well, geez, it's an abutment to 1905's Grand Trunk. But Steve Brady made a point. It's not pretty. It was never used. It's
Yeah.
degraded. So
You wouldn't have to cover up the 1905. It could
No.
draw attention to that,
Exactly.
actually. You could box that,
Yep.
you could actually highlight that.
Yep.
So when people go over to look at the art, then they see the 1905. And then they're.
So would
You
you
could put a
want
sign there.
potential mural art around town as a suggestion? Do we have to list we have to list an artist, right, as part of the homework? An example piece of art, right?
I didn't read the.
Homework, yeah, so it
Is
is,
that-
it's artist and subject, or.
But what about the public procurement then? How can you list an artist?
So I called them during office hours this week to clarify. So I said, you're confusing us.
Yeah.
So they said, this is not for us to choose those specific artists, it's for us to create concrete examples that the town would be interested in. And then maybe you don't go for just a George Sherwood, you cast the net for something similar to what George Sherwood might do to be able to create a call for artists.
I'm so schooled in the, giving
Chemistry.
everybody a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
Okay, so so yes to mural examples. Do you want us to include those as part of our potential art that we would want?
Well, the more ideas you put into it, then that gives us more options to apply it to.
They only want us to use 5 examples to to narrow the conversation. How about, so do you like what you did at 1 Central? Would you use that as an example of art that you liked, that you would want to see in town? Obviously, we wouldn't do that exact same project,
Yeah.
or would we do the same artist?
Or a smaller one, yeah, smaller one.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. What was his name? What was his name?
Ortiz.
Geez.
You can take a picture of ours and just put it up there. And use that as an example.
Felipe, thank you.
I forget what meeting we were at, we were discussing the fact that we do have a lot more of those big brick walls with no windows or anything, and is it a situation, I know in riding around Worcester, they seem to have made the city look a lot better by taking, every now and then you turn a corner and all of a sudden you see a big artwork on it.
How Worcester has done it is they have this powwow fest, and every year they make it a competition. So they have all these international people who come, and that's a whole different, you know. I mean, but they built up to that too. That wasn't how they started, but that might be an idea.
Perhaps we could get the cultural council involved as a way to perhaps sponsor an art contest like that. Is that crazy?
You'd have to read what's on the website about what they'll allow. It's pretty
Okay.
tight, you know.
Oh, all right.
But you never know. But I just, I deal with the cultural council a lot, so.
I guess maybe I'm using the wrong council. The ones that run the art center.
Oh, that historic society? Would that be the historic society?
Are you talking about like the Ruth Wells Centre?
Yes.
Well, you mean who funds them, or?
No, I'm just saying, is that an idea
Oh yeah.
worth merit? You can tell me my idea has no merit.
Well,
I was just thinking if we were going to do any type of art installation for the town, perhaps, and you're talking about having a contest to see who can provide, or who people to submit. Perhaps that could be something they might help to sponsor or organize. If we have the funding and they have the expertise.
Yeah, in the future. So, similar to the little town that could analogy, maybe we build up to that in future years,
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, it's just tell me that wouldn't work right now, Holly.
That wouldn't work right now, Holly, and they have no money.
All right, I hear you.
All right, so any other suggestions from this list that you all liked?
I'm not sure where the real trail is falling in, 'cause I haven't seen any activity, at the time, but is that still progressing along?
It's in the EDA's hands. They're reviewing all of our documents. They're making us redo and redo and redo things as the federal government's good at doing.
But basically, it's going to go
It's
along
supposed to
La
be-
Rochelle Way, is it, or is it going down Hook Street?
It's going down in between the two. Here, let me just show you.
So it's probably going,
Going right
where?
by the
It
depot.
crosses Central Street and La Rochelle Way.
Yeah,
It goes-
and then down by Morals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
And it
think
will
maybe
be
we
built
can-
this summer into
Right.
next year.
We
Yeah.
can apply some
Morals
of
is
this,
coming down.
Yeah.
the public art, maybe apply it towards this real trail.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Enhance it.
To it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the question is just what art, right? That's the tricky part.
We were talking about the panels by the depot.
Yep.
Like you said, it was just preliminary talking, but the area on the backside of the depot, between the depot and the Spanish store, is having some art panels up along there to block the view of the backside of the Spanish store.
Which is what we talked about maybe using those for. But again, we'll bring it up as under agenda item number 5.
Oh, that's right.
However, you could use this funding towards a project down there that's more, that's a new idea, right? You've used these in different places and you have a new idea at the depot. So this is all of your rail trail. And the location that you're asking about, so see how it kind of goes right between the two. See how it goes? So it'll cross, there's going to be a new signal right there actually at Central. and then it'll cross. So, yeah. And so what Kevin's talking about is what you guys had talked about at the last meeting, right? That we kind of need some screening between the rail trail and the Spanish Market. But how do we do that? You know, is there an art opportunity to maybe address that would complement?
Or maybe we could just use shrubbery.
Well, that is exactly what we'd like to do. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but unfortunately, it's going to look bad for a year or two until the tip project finishes.
And
Right.
shrubbery wouldn't fall under public path,
And well,
unless you do like sculptured
yeah, I
shrubbery.
mean,
But that
I'm
requires a
just,
lot of maintenance.
I'm casting the net very wide when I say well, but yeah, it's up to you. I mean, street performances are art. You know, it doesn't have to be an installation. It's whatever.
Opicum Land Trust, we could look at using the arborvitaes, which is evergreen. They grow very slow. It's something the arborist would have to look at the area and say if it's appropriate. So,
But not to sculpt. You're saying just to use? Yes.
no, just to
agreed.
basically.
Make a
If-
wall.
Yeah.
Agreed. It's just the timing, unfortunately, because we're building the rail trail at minimum. We're building the rail trail, and then the tip is going to come in and potentially interrupt that area. And this is the last year to get Opicum stuff.
Oh, that's right.
And so, what if we interrupt the new
That-
trees?
No.
Yeah.
What about if they put them over there in like some kind of corralled
Container.
in pots?
Yeah.
And you know,
Yeah, just piles of dirt, put them in, just
Yeah.
secure them for a year.
And-
or two.
and
Steve,
then
Steve
could be
has
moved,
Steve has
maybe.
mentioned that you can because we had some trees that if we weren't going to be able to get them into the ground by fall, in our fall season to winter them in, which means like you said, leave them in the balls. You just basically put a mulch or as a matter of fact, now that I remember, we actually did winter over a couple in the back of Steve's house that we had because we had to remove them off of St. Mary's property where we normally stockpile. Yeah, it's a potential. I'll bring it up. As a matter of fact, I'm supposed to be meeting with Steve before we start our spring season.
Yeah,
so
that would be great.
see if we can
Okay.
do something.
But not art necessarily.
Not art-
Okay.
not art
All right.
necessarily.
So then back to the art question.
Yeah, on this particular,
What-
this is a technical question.
Yeah.
On this particular grant, which is 50,000, is it like the last one where it has to be spent by a certain date?
Yeah, but we have a lot longer. We have until December.
Because that
So
would
that
affect
was
what we
that one
do.
was that one was tough. We were like
Yeah.
in a 6-month window. This one we take our classes through April. They're helping us build our call for artists, and then we have until December to get it done.
So you only have a 1 year
Yeah.
window. You can't say we buy it and then 3 years down the road we could
No.
do something.
No, we gotta use it by December. What
if you're interested in say tying it in with the rail trail, we could probably find an artist who works in sculpture or something like that, and put something in so that it could tie in, like have some kind of thematically linked to the rail
Transportation
trail.
thing or something.
Yeah, like it would have something that would jive with that. Like the artist, my
Modern
God,
train sculpture.
Oh.
There you go.
you know, like there's a lot of things that you could do that would tie in with that, and you know, 15,000 isn't a whole lot, but if you haven't got like lifts and all this sort of stuff, like if you've got something that kind of can be done almost from a ladder, you know, like that it's low, it wouldn't be, you know, the expenses, all these other things that you have to hire, you know. So like, just the example about the Dale Rogers sculpture, you know, he made it, he brought it in the back of his truck, he took it off the truck, the DPW were there and they put it in the ground and, you know, screwed it in, that's it.
It's a very impressive piece of art for the price too. I would have
Absolutely.
assumed. I would have
At
assumed it
that
was much
time,
more.
the glasses, I was on the glasses committee, and the glasses were,
Over 50,000, wasn't it?
oh, it was like 80 or 90 by the time it was finished.
I'm not going to.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
not going to tell people because I've been saying 50,000
No,
and
it's
their
more.
eyes almost
It was
fall
more.
out there.
It was more.
I can imagine. I mean, in both cases, like.
But it has its merits, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I give its merits, I give more merit to the artwork in front of the library, actually. The glasses were an amazing piece of work, but for the price.
Now there's a local sculptor, John Lewis, who did the Tin Man sculpture, the stainless steel one. And I know he has sculptures up in his garden, because I've seen them, up in Lebanon Hill. And he might be interested in selling something that he already has. Now that's where you'd make
What's
a
his
price.
name?
John Lewis.
What do you guys think of that?
It's,
It's something that works, and you know, we can put it someplace.
Yeah, as long as we're all in compliance.
Right, so this would be an example, right? We'd have to find an example
Right.
from him. And then when you
Okay.
do a call for art, you do a, could be
Yeah.
could be already existing. We're looking for the most affordable to get,
Yeah.
those would have to be our objectives, is, getting the most for our money. He'd probably end up beating out everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you would have to indicate as well the materials.
And local and materials, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um,
So maybe we need to find out, maybe one of his sculptures,
I'll have to.
the materials.
I haven't. I can't believe I came out without my phone, but I did, and I would have some photos.
Okay, so
But there's no way
sculpture.
of writing it though, it's just.
Or perhaps he has an online catalog.
No, he doesn't. Unfortunately, he used to have his glass online. His fused or his blown glass, but he doesn't have it anymore.
What about lights? I mean, or what is it? I'm just thinking about things that wow people.
I think the fountain in the AO pond
Yeah, it's
was a
incredible.
beautiful
Yes.
attraction.
Is there something we could do on public property like that? On
Did you
public
notice
water?
that I think that they've illuminated? They've put 3 lights on the concrete building over there. I saw it tonight.
The glass,
Wow.
what's
Just-
called the glass plant,
Yeah.
the one
Like,
behind the.
just-
Lights, like, yes.
It
just-
looks good.
Oh my God.
You should go tell him.
Well,
Chip's there.
yeah, okay. I told him about the water feature. I really love that.
Yeah.
When it's working.
And-
And all these
and
things.
it's
why do-
movement.
But why do you love those things? Because they call back to the way the town used to be.
Oh well, I remember when it used to be red water that went
But is
into.
that
Remember that?
but is that why
It's
people
blue to
love
red.
it?
Yes. Yeah.
But is that why people love
Because
it?
I was living across the street.
It just, out of the blue, they all of a sudden appeared. It's like,
Well, I think movement, things move, it catches your eye more than
Yeah.
something static, you just go by.
Yeah.
And there's a thing about water and air together. I mean, I can't cite the studies, but there is. It's a whole.
Right.
And if you're closer, there's the osmosis kind of
Yeah.
stuff from it.
So what's our most visible point of the water besides there? Is it over by the Globe Furniture?
Down
hard
by
to
it's
see.
down by
It's hard to see that.
Dexter, isn't it?
yeah, Dexter has.
there?
Westfield and Westfield.
Yeah.
Fields over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
Over
we
there.
can't touch that.
Glow furniture. Yeah.
The Globe Furniture stretch.
Oh, yeah. I
That's
mean,
what Deniso has suggested recently would be maybe
Oh,
a
along
stretch
there?
to consider if you wanted to access the water.
Yeah.
Well,
But is there something you could do to, maybe like playing with the bridge and the water somehow?
you can put lights on the bridge. That's always cool. There's some
Yeah.
bridges that light up those
yeah.
coming into town.
Could someone approach that as an art?
Yeah. I mean, lighting, creating correct lighting is a real art form if you can do it right.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing how
They
it
do
changes
the
everything.
bridge going over Lake Quincy.
Yes.
The Zachem
Yeah.
Bridge in
Yeah.
Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of
That's
bridges.
all
A lot
the-
of bridges in Florida have lights.
Yeah.
You could have it multicolored, so it could be one color one time, another color on St. Patrick's Day, and another color
Oh,
on
yay!
Easter. and-
Holly, what do you think of that? Lighting,
That sounds like a good suggestion.
Okay.
So we're adding that to the list?
yeah, and we'd need to find an example of some other artist who's done it on something in order to use it for our homework. So we'll have to look into something similar. So you could say for
Well,
your
what
motion,
about
something
the-
similar to lighting on
Well,
the
you
bridge.
could, Arthur gave an excellent example, the Zachem Bridge. We could just put a picture of that.
What's
do.
what's the Zachem Bridge?
In Boston.
In Boston,
I know the
it's
bridge, but-
cable stay bridge.
Hey, I'm a New Yorker.
Well,
I
also,
get
like,
Central
they-
Mass, let alone
it's-
Boston.
It's
This
Wil-
Shrewsbury
it's
one as
Wilder-
well.
It's Wilder now.
That's
That's even
It's
closer
right up
to
there
home.
with the Sydney
Yeah.
Bridge.
It's actually
Sydney
prettier,
Airport.
I
Boston
think.
Garden. Yeah, the one you see on the TV
Yeah.
all the
How
time.
do you spell it?
ZAI. I think.
There you go, you get a picture of it, see?
Am I allowed to be ignorant about certain things? Come on.
Jacob,
But-
Z-A-P.
There's a picture on the side on the left.
Okay.
I think
There you go. No, there you go, yeah.
Next time.
Yeah, is that it? On
Yeah,
there?
it's the Egan Bridge, yeah.
See if
They're
you
like
got
that.
Bunker Hill Memorial Bridge, yeah,
Okay.
Oh,
cool.
Okay, so that's an example. And whoever the artist is, we'll look at.
I hope we're doing
it's-
this homework together, are we?
Well, by email we can chit chat. Yes.
Is it?
Okay.
It's too
So
far. It's too far away to. We have another bridge in the future that would benefit from the same aspect, but we're not at that point.
we're
yet.
not at that point.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so do you think we have enough,
Yeah.
other
We need
suggestions?
another for a sculpture. Do you want to use the Jose Buscaglia example of sculpture, or do you want to use? So when you talked about the rail trail inspired sculpture, we need to find some kind of artist that you like that has done something.
Well,
like
I
that.
think that Sherwood guy, anything,
So
as the rail
okay.
trail, it's for people that are
Okay.
walking, so any naturalist or nature themed,
He's got some wonderful water features that he had in that exhibit as
Oh.
well.
Okay. All right, so now you're down to 4 again. 5. Any other cities where you've gone and you've seen something that inspired you, or?
so what, we've got our mural of the 5, we need 5, right?
Yeah.
So the first one is our mural
Yeah.
that we just did,
Yep.
that's bright and vibrant,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a wall mural for blank walls.
Mm-hmm.
And number 2 would be the a kinetic sculpture, a moving,
Mm-hmm.
kinetic moving sculpture.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then a lighting installation, for example, the Zakum Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then what is 4?
You have John Lewis, another sculpture.
Okay.
And we're going to get an example from Margaret.
Okay.
And what about the mosaic idea? For like where you have an extensive blank wall of concrete that's just concrete,
Mhm.
and especially if that's what you could do is if that's where the rail trail is going, you could have the mosaic spell out something, like
QVI.
in New York in the underground, where it says, things like
Right.
the tiles spell out the
Yeah, it
the
doesn't have
words.
to be as big as the one you
Right.
saw.
Right.
I mean, we have
Right.
smaller spaces, so it could be
Right.
multiple smaller spaces.
Right, yeah, even like in
tie in.
Springfield, in some of their underpasses, they have these beautiful reflective tiles that are shaped as dancers or athletes and stuff that catch your eye,
Yeah.
it dresses it up a lot. So,
Right, but what I'm thinking is that it would be signage as well.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
actually incorporate some kind of a message into this, but with the art.
go to the library.
Oh, that goes without saying. I'm talking about the rail trail.
Yeah, that would be a great opportunity for that concrete
me.
wall that's,
Yes.
we talked about the abutment that needs to be
Yeah, that
dressed
is.
up.
I wish I had a
Now,
photograph of that
You
place.
also have that abutment that, like you said, you could do mosaic art, but within the mosaic art, it has QVRT
Yeah.
to enhance, to draw people's attention to
Yeah,
it.
that's a really cool idea. So
Actually, there's if you wanted to see the actual wall, I don't know if you have time, but if you wanted to see that, there's some footage that we could look at.
Apparently
Just to see.
this quote doesn't work. Sorry, hold on.
Could we apply any of this art towards the gateways coming into town, into entrances?
So yeah, sure. I mean, so we consider the AO and the Globe Village as our gateways.
I had mentioned the Rotary, but there is actually a little
Oh,
triangle
yeah.
to the,
We got a fire station.
well, if you're coming down Main
Yeah.
Street, to the right,
Yeah.
there's a little triangle there. And then you get to the Rotary. I'm curious if that would be a spot that maybe a Connecticut, something tall, one of the Connecticut,
Yeah, one each side coming across the pass,
Yeah, well, like I said, as soon as you mentioned the visual obstruction at the Rotary, but as long as you're using just a central post with the artwork up on top, maybe that little triangle.
Well, anything on the side would be fine, yeah.
Yeah. You know, we can't talk about the bridge right now. Sooner or later, we will talk about the bridge.
Mosaics for Miller's River Apartments being restored.
Yeah, so we got tile mosaics,
Okay, so is that
lighting,
Oh, wow.
a kinetic, a mural.
Okay.
And I think if we need one more, then we can always go back to, music festival. I was wondering if we couldn't, wish we could have like a homegrown annual music festival.
Do you know what I heard come out of KK's mouth today? That he'd love to see the 3 restaurants that are hopping close down the street and have a little block party.
It's always been
It was over in Hamilton, right?
Southbridge Fest has always been best when we just close down a state highway and take our Main Street back.
Yeah,
That's true.
I think there were some questions about how to get the ambulance and fire truck through when there's an issue, right?
But
Yeah,
like you said,
but so to your point, wouldn't it be great to be able to put on the entertainment for something like that?
Mm-hmm.
If you shut down Central Street, it's not as bad as shutting down Main Street.
Exactly.
You know, there's ways to get it.
Right, yeah, you could shut
I
down
think
Central
after
Street.
the tip project's done, then you could probably do it. Because you have a set of lights
Yeah.
now. You got a way around it.
Yeah.
Someone coming in and you know.
Do we have to wait that long? Oh my goodness.
well, in all honesty, if we started planning it now, by
Right,
the
might
time,
actually-
But I
by
mean,
the
for
time the
this
tip
year's-
project is,
Right, but for this year's suggestions that we need for this grant that we're talking about,
That's right.
we could do something in the Central Street parking lot again.
Bring it back.
But it doesn't have to be, as kind of I think we really tackled a lot and of course we were under the gun, so we never really had a chance to promote it. But if we're starting this now, we could promote something around the fall festival time.
But we don't want to compete with the fall
Have
festival.
some kind of
Yeah.
music either on Central Street or even Hamilton Street.
We don't want to compete with it though.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. We may want to consider just a different month than Autumn Fest, so that we don't look like we're trying to overshadow.
No, but couldn't we, no, I don't want to compete with it. We wouldn't have it at the same time, but we could have something so that there's like a series of events
You could
in
have it
town.
the Friday before Autumn Fest.
Right.
is the town still gonna do the music in Central
Yeah, of
Street
course.
parking?
Oh,
Okay.
no, music in Central Street parking lot, I thought you were, no. We only did it
No.
those
Yeah.
2 opportunities that we had funding.
Okay.
So we did it every other year.
And we tried to do it so early, it was too cold
And we
to sit out.
We still did
We
not-
didn't have good weather.
And we still didn't have the turnout that we,
Last year was a bad year for weather.
yeah, we struggled.
Well, I thought it was a great idea, and the bands were terrific. And
Absolutely.
it gave me an insight into what people do in Southbridge and downtown. There was a traffic pattern that I didn't know anything about that opened my eyes to the Red Men's Club or whatever it is.
Cheapest
Unbelievable.
place in town, though.
It was unbelievable the amount of traffic. So
So do we want to say performance? Yes?
It's not really hard, is it? I mean,
It can be.
doesn't fall under. Performance disappears. I'm kind of like that, so I'd rather not do
Okay,
that.
so
Performance,
it's
yeah.
fleeting, you want us something that will stick around?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, we'll leave it at that,
I
we'll say,
agree.
okay, all right, we get five.
Music
All right,
is
go ahead,
done,
make a
it's
motion.
over.
Make your motion.
That's right.
I'll make a motion to go with what we have.
Okay, very good.
Motion to go with the first one. Then.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. Do we have, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous of all present. All
Okay,
members present.
okay. Thank you for going through
Okay,
this.
so now we're on 5?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so next steps for displaying smaller murals from Urban Agenda Grant.
Okay.
Okay, so Peg, you told us that putting them down by the depot and the rail trail is not feasible
It's not.
due to,
It's not that it's not
The-
feasible. It's up to you. It's $5,000. You only have 3,000.
right. So it's not feasible because we don't have $5,000.
But here is an alternative. What if we took 2 of them and put them at the Main Street playground and used CDBG money for those 2, and then you could pay for the other 2 and put them wherever you want?
Well, I kind of liked, I'm sorry, Kevin's suggestion to put them on the abutment. That wall where, and around the 1905.
Sure. Yeah, instead of at the depot.
Then
Yeah.
you wouldn't have to worry about encasing the edges.
Right, exactly. It would be-
Right,
yeah,
and we
save the
wouldn't
money.
have to worry about, if they're high enough, we might not have to worry too much about graffiti.
Then we would need a lift truck. It still costs about $3,000 to use the lift truck and get them mounted. Remember, we got those initial quotes about putting them on buildings, and then we said, well, maybe we should do them as freestanding.
So we
So-
take all 4 of those and put them on that wall by the abutments.
How high is it up?
I
What size lift truck you need?
Probably
I mean-
around 18 to 20 feet.
Is it that high?
Well, yeah, the Morris Street Bridge has got to be at least 20.
You're not gonna put them on the bridge, are you? You're gonna put
No,
them on
no,
the
no. The
Well, and we're putting in a
abutment
new
that
bridge,
comes
so
out
we
on
don't want to cover it.
abutment. That abutment's not, that bridge isn't that high, but yeah.
Is
We
that,
want, we want
Does
to,
It's probably
I
15
thought the
feet.
town
It's
had
like
a-
15
I
feet.
thought the town had a bucket truck.
It has, but it only goes up, like, it's not a boom truck. It's like,
I can find somebody to do that,
Yeah.
but
is that
I
town
don't-
property or non-town property, the abutment?
I would have to look
Yeah, I
into it,
mean,
but I'm almost
Because if
sure
it's not
it's
town
town.
property, then,
you can't
Yeah.
put 'em
I'm
up,
almost
you can't put 'em
sure
up
it's
there, yeah.
town.
It's,
yeah.
But we would want to wait until after we finish the rail trail before we put it up, just to make sure it doesn't get
is
damaged or
this
interfered.
project
Because
by
there's
December as well?
no, this is whenever we want.
Now, what kind of poster or frames you said you had somebody give you a price or something?
Yeah, so we can look, and we can go out for other quotes. I was just trying to get an initial cost estimate. Let's look them up. So it was Graphics Unlimited. Like, I'm sure we could get a price from John Cloutier that could potentially beat it.
to encase the edges, is that it?
I mean, that's what I'm
To
asking.
a freestanding, yeah, 2 freestanding posts.
Oh,
What, I mean, just 2 free posts, no top or bottom or anything?
21, hold on. Top results, quotes.
Yeah, because I came up with the idea of having it along the rail trail, you know, different sections of it.
that'd be interesting
That would
too.
look nice.
And what's the, like, these are weather resistant and all that, like they've been treated
They've been
and,
sealed according to the artists, yeah.
and there's a guarantee for like 5 years maybe?
Usually they're warranted, everything's usually warranted for a year. You usually can't get more than that out of them. Most of our public works are only 1-year warranties.
Have we thought about having them sporadically around situated ramp in the Central Street parking lot?
No, we haven't thought about anything. Haven't thrown it out there. The only reason I suggested the Main Street playground is because they've got those beautiful, vibrant colors that picture the playground, you could put them towards the back and it would brighten up that little neighborhood park. And we've got the money. So we have extra money in our block grant that we're using to replace the damaged playground. And we have an extra few,
Okay.
and we have an extra few $1,000s. And I said to Katie, well, we don't have enough in the Redevelopment Authority's coffers. Maybe we could use CDBG money. It's got to be part of that project, though, if we're going to use the money. So that's the only reason I'm jamming it through that direction. But we don't have to do anything.
Well, that sounds like a nice idea, as long as we don't have to worry about, like you said, if they're, safe, so that, the kids won't, run into them and split their head open.
Right, that's why we were doing the way we were doing it.
Edging.
Yeah.
Is that the quote there?
No, I can't find it. That's from 2023. It's harder for me to knock around in Microsoft 365 and find emails,
Oh,
unfortunately.
we don't have it at all.
You're talking about the playground At the 600 block, right?
Yeah.
Now, are you talking about putting them into the playground, or there's a fence area?
So the fence, I don't think is quite high enough. Oh,
No,
here's the
but
estimate.
if you were to look at extending the posts, even if you had to do new footings for the posts, and using the posts to hold them up high enough.
The fence posts?
Yeah, the fencing.
I don't know if I'd want to, those are heavy. I don't know if I'd want to.
Well, I'm not an engineer, I'm just a
Yeah,
creative thought, but
Yeah,
I'm just wondering.
yeah, I can't kibosh it either because I'm not an engineer either, so you could be totally right. It could be fine.
Maybe we should, what if we, go take a look at it at some point before the next meeting as a group? And we go look at the playground and see what we're talking about.
Okay, so here is the quote.
You could also make them kinetic, I think, by just putting a little swivel at the top. You have 4 of them, they're only done on one side, so you're gonna eventually have to look for 2 locations, because unless you have the blank side facing away from
Well,
something.
so that's what I was thinking, was the blank was just facing away.
But if you put the 2 of them together with a swivel at the top, and they'd be able, if the wind blew, they'd be able to rotate.
Knock a kid out, right? Full speed.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the reasons it's gonna be up 8 to 10 feet.
I like the idea of the mounting the back-to-back, but I think it should be stationary. Although I do love that idea of it being able to swivel. That's very cool.
Well,
It's very interesting
Right,
when
but-
something moves.
Yeah, a butterfly in the air
How
swiveling.
much is that
I think that's
quote,
really-
Peg? I
Huh?
can't read it. How much is it?
Oh, it was total, and so this again for 4
Yeah.
was 5,000.
And what are they going to? What did they say
So
they're going
4
to
by
do?
4 posts, 120-inch pressure treated, inserted into 96-inch vinyl post sleeves with a cap. So picture like,
Yeah, I
you know, like
understand.
your standard welcome sign in a town or whatever.
It's a
Yeah.
fence post, they just
Yeah.
make it.
Yeah, but
And then they cap it and
And so the actual painting is
They're
in.
using,
It's
they're using
inside, yeah.
1.5 inch angle iron, see the second line, they're putting that around and putting the painting inside in that.
Yeah,
So you get
so
2
then-
posts,
yeah.
then you get a
Mounting part.
angle iron frame that holds it.
Yeah.
and then the install they'll charge us for. That's the most expensive. 2.5 hours per sign. And that's it. I don't know. What do you think about the idea of making it move?
It would add, I would think it would add to the cost.
I'm sure it would.
How are you gonna make it move?
You'd be going with a single post, not 2 posts.
Yeah, we need a one big post, that's
You'd be
those
going
are
with
heavy.
a taller post.
You'd have to
Which
frame
would
the
add-
whole thing.
And
You'd
then
have to
you'd
stick it on a
Your
post.
foundation would be a lot more expensive, I think it'd be totally different.
Yeah.
And then if you have the hurricane, you could damage it and take it
Right.
away.
Yeah,
and
so
send
I'm
it
sure
to
the kids,
the
they, like,
then I
see
get
if they
a
can
lot
hit-
of-
Spinning like a
They'd hit
top.
balls with it, see if they can get it to spin, right?
Well,
It'd be better if
The other thing you
black
could do
posts
is,
instead
I mean,
of
you could
white
just
posts.
hang these things in
I
McCann
agree.
Fields on the storage
I don't think they
container.
put vinyl in it. I think they might, for, decks, brown.
It should be darker
They do.
anyway.
would anyone like to make a motion that we, table this for further discussion?
Yeah, because it's just one of those things we keep batting around. I have no agenda, except that Katie will be going forward with the block grant by June. So if we wanted to use it there, she's gonna have an extra few $1,000 that we could potentially use to get it into the Main Street playground.
I'm gonna be a motion to table this to a future meeting.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Possibly show the images on the town's website.
What's that?
So
What-
would you like to see these
That's a good idea.
at the space?
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. So for discussion, Peg, if we pass this motion, when would we have to decide in order for you to be able to incorporate that in for the playground?
Oh, I don't know. I would say by like April. If
Okay, so we're gonna meet again in March. Do you want to table it to our next meeting, not just some vague meeting, our next
Okay.
meeting, and we'll pick the meeting date?
Sure, and what if I throw out this swivel idea to Graphics Unlimited and let them
Your
chew.
price is gonna go higher.
Of course it will.
Yeah, so-
And just get them to chew on just the idea of the sunflowers and the butterfly back to back. If they have a suggestion of a creative way to mount it that it could move.
Wouldn't you have to have something with
You're in
the
steel,
ball
into
bearings
steel,
and
you-
all that?
Well, you could spin on the top, but you're into steel and everything else at that point. You can't
Yeah.
do it in post.
It's a great idea, but I just, you know, I think it's up there with Sherwood. You know,
Okay.
You know,
So I-
the steel.
I still might go and ask him for a quote.
yeah. Go ahead and ask them. I mean,
Billboards. We want
Okay.
hot dogs
So that's the discussion.
as opposed to.
you know, if I could just mention, like John Cloutier is also an artist
Oh,
as well as a practitioner, and I'm wondering if he saw what this was and was asked, and maybe you know Sam, his son, would you know have some contribution as well. Maybe they could come up with. They know the town.
They might have,
They might have some suggestions.
So does the board want to, does the commission want to reach out to John Cloutier and see his opinion? Or
Sure.
he and
could
his
we
son?
invite him to the next meeting and perhaps tell him why he's being invited, and maybe he can present his as the artist, he could present his recommendation as to where he thinks they might be well placed. Okay, so that wasn't a good idea.
I think it's a
How
great
about
idea.
we vote on them, do we need to vote on the meeting that's, the motion that's already in front of us? Or do we need to amend that motion?
You don't need to vote on anything.
Well, we made the motion, so.
We can table.
Yeah, just you can table it, and then
Yeah.
I'll, in the meantime, I'll reach out to John like you're gonna suggest. I think it's a great
Yeah,
idea.
so the motion is to table this to the next meeting.
Now he may not want to come to a
Yeah.
meeting, but like even if he
Maybe
would
get some
provide
information,
his provide his
Right.
opinion would be, I think,
Right.
very valuable.
Arthur, do you second that motion?
Yes.
Okay, all those, any discussion, further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous by all present. All right, that was number 5.
Okay.
Item, is that good?
Yep.
Am I?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I think we were just going, we're still going around in circles on that, so.
Yeah.
I think, you know, all of the input, I like the idea, Kevin, of having it move. But again, we don't want to take out any kindergartners. And to Arthur's point, you know, the hurricane winds are ramping up. So we want to be careful, so we'll table it till the next meeting and see if we can get more information on those concerns.
Okay.
Okay, so item number 6.
Okay. Item number
Yes.
6. Go ahead.
Discuss DLTA funding opportunity and request assistance on how to generate funds. Does anyone want to
What's
comment?
the
So,
LTA?
so direct local technical assistance is a bucket of money that the local planning agencies get. So our planning agency is CMRPC. They send out this email every year saying it's got to fulfill goals of the state. The state has their own agenda of, you know, like right now it's housing, it's homelessness, it's, you know, so how can we meet those, their agenda and still fulfill our local goals? So usually we'd go to the planning board and we'd ask them, you know, whether and how they want to spend the funds. What I would like to do is talk to CMRPC about the idea of, can we ask them to help us think about helping the redevelopment authority make money? So we tried with the urban agenda in 21 and we didn't get the information out of the SC group that we were looking for. I've already said out loud to the treasurer, when they have a list of potential properties that they would like to auction, please consider donating to the redevelopment authority so that they can start a kitty. And so she needs to talk more about this with us. We need to show that we know what we're doing. So I think we need some more guidance. And so if you approved of this, then I would approach CMRPC, ask if they agree. If they agree, then we go to the planning board and we ask them. It's up to them how we spend the money.
And are there models out there of other communities that do this in this way?
That
Their
using-
redevelopment authority is a
They're-
money-making
Yes,
You know,
entity.
big
Yes.
Cities.
yes.
Are we talking tax lien property?
It's, if it's with the tax collector, yes. And so what I need to figure out is, if we were given a property, do we have to just, I assume, sell it? Or do we have to only buy, or do we have to only work with properties that are prescribed inside the urban renewal plan? I don't think that's the case. I think we have a lot more freedom than that.
That's a question we haven't got an answer for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So I would like some guidance. And then when we do get a donation, we get, are we allowed to generate funds off of, are we allowed to work with that property? Or do we need to just sell it and get the whatever profit to be able to invest in, so I have a couple layers of questions I keep asking and I haven't gotten the answers to. And I feel like you guys are like 3/4 of the way ready for the big time. And
We're
so,
still not there yet.
but you're getting there. So I'm excited for you. I feel like it's time. You could be creating a kitty large enough that when that important property that you see as significant for whatever reason goes up for sale, or is the town's looking to whatever, if the town's involved, you could be the ones that could come in and redevelop that property according to what you want, and you don't have to follow the state's procurement. You could be favoring whatever types of business you wanted. It's a big deal. And I don't know if it's just favoring.
Interesting.
I don't know if it's just the businesses.
Yeah, second entity.
I don't know if it's just the businesses, again, that are prescribed in the urban renewal plan that you can use that, and even if so, if it's just those few properties, if you're building up your kitty, so when that one property goes up that was prescribed in the urban renewal plan for redevelopment, you're the ones that can do it instead of having a private developer, or you're the ones that take it, then then you could potentially lease it and control the tenants, or you could potentially sell it to the preferred contractor.
Well, the place I would like to just raise as a member of the audience is Sacred Heart. The Sacred Heart Church, not so much the other buildings.
It'd be a
but
long
the
time to build up that kitty.
Well, it was sold for a song before,
Yeah, no, then it just sat there, yeah.
and
The
then
church can't afford to keep that place from falling down.
Well, no, they sold it, but it's a,
yeah. But I mean, that would be an ideal kind of project where you'd be saving a historic property, a key property, and it's.
But you have to know that you can redevelop it.
Yeah, but you could. There's a lot of things you could do down there. I mean, just
oh,
as
the whole
much.
property, if you took everything, yes.
Yeah.
The whole property is here.
So, going with that idea, going back 150 years ago, that whole area from Central Street Bridge down was a park with a nice watered river, everything.
Just take out all those houses. Let's make it a park again.
You could take that complex, take out the buildings, even though they're historic, and put it back into a water park like Putnam has. So you have those water features.
What about the park we could have had? We had a grant and everything, and
Those
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't
small-
let
went
you
up
talk
the
about
spout.
that.
It's a little area. It wasn't big. We're talking that area is much bigger.
You take the school out, take all
Take
the
the
schools
school out,
out,
yeah.
yeah.
Are you talking about Sacred Heart?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have been talking with somebody, and I hate to hear that the town is looking at, that there's no solutions for the Sacred Heart Church other than tear it down. But I had talked with the developer and said, listen, if you took the area Sacred Heart is sitting on, and a 25-foot walkway along the river, and then bring it back towards Brochu Street, you could still utilize the school as a building. You could still utilize the rectory and the convent as buildings. But that would leave Sacred Heart and a walking trail along the river, and then bring it back out into Brochu Street.
I think
And have them look at doing it as a CR, a conservation restriction. Major project, nobody wants to be the one to tear down Sacred Heart. But if we tear it down to just the foundation level and we leave a walkway where the aisle is, it would still give people who maybe got married there 50 years ago the ability to walk into the park and knowing that they're walking down this
It's a beautiful idea. We have 8 minutes left, and I think we're a little off the agenda.
I would agree that is a property that should be on the.
So we need to
redevelopment.
find out what the redevelopment authority's authority is. We.
And that's out of our urban renewal plan,
That's-
so we
that's
can't do
out of
it. Yeah, we talked about
And
it.
that's
It will be
outside
in
of
the
our,
future, though.
but can we be outside of our urban renewal area? Right, so those are the questions. So do you support this idea or not? And I don't take offense if you say no, because I know we did a lot of homework 2 years ago on this stuff.
The idea is seemed to fell through because we talked about it a couple of years ago, how to generate the funds,
Right.
the money. So we need to keep pushing
I agree.
at that.
I agree.
Until we get there.
I agree. I feel like BSC group didn't want to direct
I
us.
think it's like how you said, we need the first nest egg, that's the whole thing. You can do things, BSC had great ideas, but you needed a kitty to start with. And so this is kind of like, what we're looking at is what can we.
Some guidance.
We'll get some, guidance and how do we get that initial, whatever,
Right.
20 to 50,000.
And does it go into the town's bank account, or do we create our
It's a-
own
it's a
bank account
second account.
outside of the town?
We have a bank account now with somebody, I think,
We
somewhere.
have $3,000.
Yeah,
It's
so-
inside the town's funds, though.
But it's
It's a town account.
But it's we could go outside, but I'd rather let them take care of it as long as they
Well,
don't use
right,
it.
so then that's what I want to know, is that
okay.
if it's in the town's coffers, then do we have to follow all of a sudden,
No,
different
yeah.
procurement?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly, so that's the stuff I would like to find out. So are you interested?
I would definitely make the motion to accept. and
Yes.
Yeah, take
Accept
a-
I just.
this
Okay.
agenda item. and-
Okay, and there's no guarantee that the planning board's gonna see it as a priority, but we can ask.
Okay.
to
All right.
DLTA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Can I
Aye.
just ask a question? Is this limited to property?
That's a great question.
Because if it's not, I would like to maybe have a discussion about maybe considering broadband for the downtown and for, connectivity for the community, because it's going to be so expensive, it's going to be prohibitive. But if we want to make sure that everybody has like an equal standing, that might be something.
That's a
And
good
it's a utility, so it'll be kind of like, the enterprise funds kind of
Yeah,
thing.
that's a great question. That
So
would be something.
would that be possible? I don't know if
That'd
it
be
is. It
something
might
we
be
could ask
beyond.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you could really make money because you could be, the redevelopment authority could be the actual utility.
I don't think we want to be the utility.
There's a couple of guys that are doing it up in Gardner.
A light plant?
No, they set up a broadband utility inside the town by rooftop to rooftop. They set it all up, and it's a small. I have it. It was an article I had.
That's interesting.
That's it. That does sound very interesting.
Yeah.
Because that's the way forward too.
You're right. So I mean, it's redevelopment. Yes. And if we can do anything more than
It's
what
a,
we're
well,
doing,
it's
it
a,
would be
it's a,
progress.
it's a service or something inside. I think you probably could do that. That'd
Yeah.
be interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, redevelopment authorities fund lighting and improvements in downtown that way. Yeah, but these are the things we need to learn, I think. Okay.
It's almost like we need to go to the redevelopment authority class 101.
I know.
at
Well,
college.
we
They don't
right.
have it. That's the problem. So anyway.
But through CMRPC, I'm sure you're going to get the answers that you need. So
Let's
that's
hope.
great. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Do we have a motion on the table?
Oh yeah, the John moved.
I thought we voted on it.
Yeah, we already voted on it.
All right, good, that's what, I didn't know if it was a
Yeah.
different one.
No,
Okay,
no.
so we're all set with item 6?
Yes.
Item 7, schedule the next meeting. How do people feel about Wednesday, March 13th?
As long as it's not on the high holy day of St. Patrick's Day.
No, that's the 17th.
No.
So you're set.
I'll be here, so far.
Okay, that works for me.
Yep.
All right, so the next meeting date is March 13th, 2024 at 6:30.
Okay.
Okay, and a motion to adjourn?
A motion to adjourn. I'll make a motion to adjourn. All right, second it.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion to adjourn in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the motion passes. We adjourn the meeting at 7:57 PM.